DorkLair.
Welcome to another DorkLair action figure review. Today I'm taking a look at the Storm Collectibles Golden Axe Skeletons 2-pack. Now these figures are the second release in their Golden Axe series. I already did review the Axe Battler with the dragon, so you can check out that review. I love that figure. It is incredible. This set for two was, I think, $60 retail, or somewhere along those lines, maybe 65 or something like that. But yeah, so this is a pretty cool release. You know, there's not a lot to them. It's not a ton of different paint applications and stuff. But the paint that's there is good. The articulation is kind of incredible. And yeah, this feels like a high quality figure. And in my opinion, a great price for $60 for two figures. So let's get into this review. Okay, getting a quick look at the packaging. Mine's a little warped. It won't stand up, so I'm just holding it right out of the gate here. But on the side, you can see that there's a little bit of like a gloss thing going on with the figure on the side of the package. And then you've got a few different poses and stuff on the back. Bluefin label there. Same kind of thing on the side over here. And then background on the front. I do like the classic video game select screen insert there inside the package. That's a pretty nice touch and would make a nice backdrop if you wanted to put that behind your figures on your shelf. Okay, and before I get into the sculpt painting details, very quickly, I just want to mention the only difference between the two, and that is the shield. So on the two different figures, you have the shield handles just placed in the reversed manner so that the skull on the shield, they can hold them in opposite hands, and then the skull still works. If you want, you could use the open hand and switch it over to the other side, but that's the only difference, and I just wanted to point that out before I get into the rest of the review. All right, getting into the sculpt paint in detail on the figure. The skull, basically the paint job is very simple, but it does have a nice kind of bony texture to it. It's a much whiter type of bone color than, say, it's almost ashy compared to like the Mythic Legion skeletons. But even in the face, you can see there's like a little bit of like a dark, sort of almost like a black shading going on around the eyes and the nose over here, and then a little bit on the temples on the sides there, just to give it a little more depth. But yeah, it's a great looking skull. We'll talk about it more in the articulation, but the jaw does open. The torso is a bit of a softer material. Out of the box, they have these little foam pieces in there that were kind of there just in case it gets crushed, but it doesn't feel like it's gonna collapse or anything like that. I just wouldn't necessarily pile it into a bin with a bunch of other figures or something, like laying on top of it, because yeah, it might warp if you do that, but just sitting on the shelf, it looks to me like it's going to be fine. You know, and the skeleton is sculpted very cleanly, very nice sculpt going on here. The bones are maybe not quite as detailed as Mythic Legion's bones with the little pock marks that the Legion stuff have, but they are definitely more skeletal per se, and less like a skeleton character and more like a, I don't know, like a very bony skeleton compared to the Legions. So yeah, as far as the paint goes, there's not a lot to say. I can just kind of like pan down the figure and just show you what it looks like. Get a look at those feet there. So pretty cool looking skeleton, basic, but you know, for 30 each, 60 for the pair, I think it's a great price in my opinion. All right, and so let's get into some size comparisons. Okay, so here he is next to his counterparts in the line, the Golden Axe Battler and the Dragon. And just real quick, I just want to give a big shout out to my friend Travis, who is WG_collectibles on Instagram and Wicked Globalists on YouTube. He hooked me up with a second one of these. So I now have two dragons. I have one I can really like mess around with and one I can keep stock, because I want to add some wings to one of these things at some point. So thank you, Travis. I appreciate it very much. It was very nice to meet you, man. All right, here he is next to the Super 7 Conan figure and the Combatants Fight for Glory Kanuba figure. You can see he's kind of on the taller side, but once you start posing him up, it's going to fit right in with all these other kind of 6 to 7 inch fantasy lines. And then, of course, got to bring in a couple skeletons from the Mythic Legions line. And again, taller than these guys. On the left, you have the 2.0 skeleton. On the right, you have the 1.0 skeleton Legion builders. And yeah, he's taller, but again, proportionally, it's not too crazy. It's just a tall guy. And so, you know, again, pose him up and it'll look just fine next to these other ones. For accessories, in addition to the two fists already on there, it comes with the two gripping hands. And I do love how the hands are nice and soft and pliable. That makes for both putting the weapons in the hand and popping the hand on the peg just very easy. These figures are fun to play with, to mess around, to swap out parts. Comes with a pair of relaxed hands. Comes with a pair of, it almost would be like trigger finger hands if this was a world where they had guns, but sort of a pointing skeleton, pointing finger type hand here. Could also kind of function as a loose grip maybe for the shield. And then it comes with a pair of sort of reaching out, clawing action hands. Next up, we have a sword. Beautiful sword. It's very reflective kind of silver paint to it. You know, that edge is not painted. It's just, you can see the sculpt because of how reflective the paintwork is. A little bit of gold and then some black on the handle. Pretty basic, kind of scimitar-like sword. And finally, it comes with the shield. I love the paintwork on the shield. It's probably the place on the figure that has the best or the most intricate paintwork. There's sort of like this dirty gold kind of speckled thing going on, and then the skull is a little like scratched up and all. Now there's two shields. One shield has the handle for the holding it in the right hand, and then the other shield has it flipped around the other way on the other figure. But that's the only difference between the two, which is why I'm kind of just focusing on one figure for the review. Finally, for the articulation, like I said earlier, the jaw is on a hinge, so you can open and close the mouth. The head is on a ball joint, so that swings around. There's unfortunately nothing at the base of the neck, and he doesn't look up terribly far. I do kind of wish, because he can hunch down so far, I wish he could look up a little more. But, you know, there's a decent range of motion there with that head, and it can cock side to side and so on. And the rest of the articulation is very much like any other kind of like higher end import figure here. You have these ball hinge type joints. So up on the shoulder, you can bring his arm up this far and back down, and you can swing it around all the way around. There's basically a twist because of it being one of those ball type socket things. And then the same joints throughout the rest of the figure. So the elbows can spin and swivel up this far. So a little bit past 90 degrees there. Same joint at the wrist. And the wrist can spin around and go any angle you need it to be. So if you want to have him pointing that sword out straight, you can kind of hinge it down a little bit. Another one of those ball joints, sort of at the base of the rib cage here, where it connects to the bottom of the spine. So he can crunch forward and just a ton. I mean, you can fold him all the way down pretty much because there's two. There's one up top here, and then there's one down here. So just lots of motion. Everything is just tight enough. It's a very smooth figure. I really love these. I can't believe it took me so long to get into the Storm Collectibles. And then you've got sort of a double one at the hip. So it's on a ball peg that comes out, and then it's on another one of those hinge swivel things. So you can kind of move the foot this way at the hip, and then you also have just that the joint here. So, I mean, you can put him in pretty much any position. He can do crazy Spider-Man poses, and obviously there's nothing hindering the articulation because it's a skeleton. There's nothing in the way at all, which is very nice. The knee can swing up about this far, and again, there's twist at the knee as well. And then the same thing down at the foot. So, lots of great motion. You can hinge the foot side to side. You can go up and down with it, and then the toe has articulation as well. So ton of great motion. I mean, the articulation is just really incredible on this guy, and just lots of fun poses to be had. So yeah, so that'll pretty much do it for my review. I love this line. I can't believe how much I like it. I ended up getting 2 sets, so I do actually have a second set. I have now 4 skeletons. I just haven't opened the second set yet. But these are awesome. I highly recommend them. $60 is a no-brainer. These rock. Anyway, thanks for watching my review, And until next time, may the Force be with you.
Follow